Good morning. This is Mr. Spencer with Reagan High School. Today we're going to be creating histograms. That'll be page 53 of your note spiral. A histogram is for quantitative data, and it's a frequency distribution, and the bar widths and the heights are proportional to the values in the class. Histograms are really useful for large data sets, and but unlike the Stemplots, and you can see shape and unusual. You can cuss and BS with them, but you cannot see the specific values. Specific values are lost, but it's very useful for large data sets. We're working with the same problem set as we had before, the backs and forwards problem. So hopefully you still have that data in the calculator. So because I'm not going to take the time to re-enter it. If you need to, go ahead and do so. Pause this and re-enter it this time. Now, in this case, I do not need to order them from least to greatest. They already are in my calculator, so I'm going to leave them that way. And I got to warn you that the calculator is not particularly friendly with this, and it requires a little bit of effort. That said, not nearly as important for AP statistics, and it's just basically the calculator is not that friendly on this. So here we go. We're going to go press second, then stat plot. And at this point, I need to make sure all my stat plots are off. So I just press enter, highlight the word off, like arrow over and highlight the word off. I'm going to go up, do the same thing for plot 2, make sure that it's off. And I'm going to go over to plot 3 and make sure that it's off. It just helps us out a whole lot. Also, you should go to y equals. So second quit, go to y equals and press clear. Make sure there's nothing in the y equals because it will mess up your graphs. So all the y equals stuff needs to be cleared out. So I'm going to go back to second stat plot. Now, if you remember, I should back up just a second. Go to stat edit for just a moment. There's all my data in L1 and L2. The backs are in L1, the forwards in L2. So I'm going to go second stat plot. And I'm going to press enter on the first one. And now I'm going to arrow over to the left and turn stat plot 1 on. I'm going to drop down and I'm going to select the graph that looks like a histogram. All right, I'll press enter for that and that selects it. Then I need my X list. In this case, my backs were in L1, so second 1. And my frequency is going to be 1 because I have one list. And before I'm going to go much farther, I want to show you what this is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like this when we're done, but it's not going to. But we'll see what happens. Put that back up there. So the calculator should be back up on the screen, and you go zoom 9, and it's like, that doesn't look like that graph. And that's what I was saying, the calculator is not particularly friendly. So we're going to have to go to Window. And it's like, hey, you know what? My smallest value is 75. So I'm going to make, let's say I'm going to start at, I don't know, 60. Nice round number. My largest value is 129. So let's go say I'm going to make my maximum 140. And yes, I just picked those numbers out of the air, but they're going by tens. They're nice round numbers. And then I have my X scale, and I'm going to make that a 10. All right, and that just tells me how wide I want my bins at the bottom to be, because going by nines is kind of weird. So choose something that makes sense. You can choose 5, sometimes 20, sometimes 100, sometimes 10. So you have a lot of flexibility there, and that's why one of the reasons that makes it a little more difficult. My Y minimum, well, we shouldn't have any negative numbers, but I'll make it -5. All right, I'm going to use the -5. And for my maximum, it says I don't know how many maximum values, but let's just say I have 10 of them. I don't have more than 10 of those. I'm not going to worry about the scale. The rest of this I can leave alone. And now I can go ahead and press the graph button. And there it is. I get this nice, neat graph. And if I go ahead and press, there's a trace button. If I press the trace button, it's like, oh, you have 0 in the 60 to 70 class. I had 3 in the 70 to 80 class. I had 6 in the 80 to 90, etc. So it tells me how many in what class. All right, and that gives you a nice graph, and you can see that it's skewed to the right. Once again, label the axes. All right, once again, label the axes. All right, so second, quit. And I'm going to go back to Stemplots, and I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to try to turn it off, turned it off. And I'm going to go to plot 2, and I'm going to turn that one on. Now, technically, I could have done this in plot 1, but I'm going to go ahead and store it. So I'm going to drop down, select the box plot, and we're going to go ahead and do the forwards now. Well, the forwards data is in L2, so second 2. And I'm going to hit graph or zoom 9, it doesn't matter, I can hit graph. And that looks pretty close to what I'm looking for. Let's make sure that it's really what I want. I press my window. Since I'd already set my scale before, it's fine. If I hadn't set my scale before, it wouldn't have worked. Now, if I do my trace, 80 to 90, I have 1. 90 to 100, I have 3. I have 11 and 100 to 110. 4 here and 1 there. Now, if all of that bothers you, and I understand because it's a lot of calculator function, there's kind of a little cheat to this. And this is one of the reasons why the Stemplots is important, because I can use the Stemplots to make a box plot, and I'm going to cheat and show you how to do that in just a second. So I'm going to pause this recording. All right, this is the previously made Stemplot, and we had made a back-to-back Stemplot. And if I wanted to make it into a histogram, I could just gone ahead and say, you know what, I'm having trouble with the calculator. I'm going to go ahead and make a Stemplot, and then I'm going to convert that Stemplot to a histogram. And watch. Very, very simple, very, very easy. Once again, I've already created, at this point, I created the Stemplot in another video. And of course, my pen inks out. That seems like a daily occurrence. There, I now have a histogram for the forwards. Oh, I want a histogram for the backs. Once again, just box it in. And there's my histogram for a box. So if you struggle with the calculator functions for making a histogram, you can always go ahead and make a Stemplot and then box it in, and you'll be good to go. So that's that right there is our end of our video.